I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Jules Sains, and we are here to do the final Matt Helm film starring Dean Martin. Murderers Row, and Margaret is in this thing. Carl Malden is here. Cinematographer is Sam Levette. Edited by Walter A. Thompson. Music by Lalo Schiflin. Sorry. Production company still the same. Distributed by Columbia Pictures again. This release date is not quite on Christmas Eve, but it's or Christmas. It's 5 days away. It's December 20th, 1966. This movie grossed a lot, 6.240.000. A lot of money. A lot of money.
It's because Dino, Desi, and Billy are in it.
That's right. Well, this was released the same year as The Silencers.
Yes.
They had two movies that year.
Yeah. And they do a good job of advertising for the ambushers at the end of this too. I really like this post advertisement most of all in this one, though we covered the ambushers first.
Yes.
I like how they did this at the end.
Yeah, that's kind of the pattern that they used through at least most of these movies, was to advertise the coming attraction, the next movie, to the point where they advertised one that never got made.
Well, Sophie's Choice was made. It just was made with Meryl Streep and not Dean Martin.
That's right. That's true. Couldn't fit into the skirt.
Didn't fit into the skirt. That's the problem. There was no other issue with that concept.
No, none at all.
I don't know. I guess I'll pick the other one.
It's Jack Daniels in his bra, and he's off to the races. My choice. Which one?
Yeah. I think this film complements The Silencers very well. Especially if you're going off of The Silencers, and you have this assassination attempt of all these agents from around the world, which was really clever. The plot of this is really good. Carl Malden steals this movie. He's a hell of an actor.
Good actor. Yeah, he's one of the finest of the century. He's a very, very good actor.
Yeah.
I've seen him in tons of movies. The Cincinnati Kid with what's the other movie with?
He was in Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, he was in that too. Streets of San Francisco, I think, the series.
Just a couple of years after this movie came out, he did Streets. He started Streets.
Yeah.
And
one of my favorite movies is in Nevada Smith. So
Pumping Iron 2, The Women. He was very good. Pumping Iron 2, The Women.
Yes.
He played Rachel McLish.
Cool.
That's right. That's right. He really filled out that singlet too. I gotta tell you.
He did.
That unitard.
When did you guys first see this movie, Patrick?
This was the first Matt Helm movie I ever saw. It's in 1986, and it was late one Friday night in the middle of summer, and I thought, "What the hell was this?" Mm-hmm. And I think probably the music that first got me. It was during a fight scene or something, but it was that main theme, which I think is one of the great spy-fi themes of the 60s. It's very underrated. Of course, Lalo Schifrin knows what he's doing. Very underrated piece of music.
Yeah.
It has just a sort of a roiling darkness to it and propulsiveness. Great piece of music. I mean, I'll watch it for the music, but the rest of the movie's great also.
Yeah. They had some good music directors in these films, actually. Overall, also they kept. I guess they kept using for a lot of them. They used Boyce and Hart for the title songs, because they were in at least two of these that we've reviewed recently.
Not for the open credits song, but the actual.
Yeah.
The side.
Yeah. So that seems to, they struck a winning formula with the music for sure in these movies. So, some of the music was reminiscent of the real serious stuff, and some of it took a slight left turn to be more, sort of the lovable sexist spy kind of music, the sort of romantic seduction and all of that sort of thing. And
standard Philip Glass.
Yes. Yes. Tubular Bells in there somewhere.
Imagine, okay, so if I'm sorry, just 1 second. So would Dean have played Father Karras or Father Marin?
Oh my God. Karras.
Then who would have played Marin?
Frank, of course.
Maybe, yeah.
Or Joey Bishop. I don't know.
I'm trying to think about that.
Right.
Because Dean respected no one, especially towards the end. He really had contempt for every human being who ever lived.
Well, that's why he got along so well with Sinatra, because he didn't kowtow to him. Sinatra sort of was attracted by that. Not only that, sure. but Dean was also. He was in with real mobsters at a very young age. He was a croupier in Steubenville, so he was an actual tough guy. Now Frank had been in gangs when he was a kid, but
kind of. As far as Dolly would let him.
Right, exactly.
Did you read Nick Tosh's book?
No.
Dino Living High in the Dirty Business of Dreams? Well, that's really good.
Is it?
It's really good. Yeah. That's good. And Jerry's book, I think it's called Dean: A Love Story, was great. And it gets very, very, very graphic into things about Dean you didn't want to know, and you certainly learn.
Yeah.
Jules shows a change in color. You can see the color gray. He's terrified of what I'm going to say next.
Colors draining.
You want to hear a funny Frank Sinatra story?
Here we go. Yes, I do.
Dennis Miller was talking about this. He was performing for Frank at a party, and Frank, said, "Hey, come to my table." And Dennis Miller's wife was there, and and Dennis Miller's mother was there as well, and his mom, because Dennis Miller was born in Pittsburgh, PA, and Dennis Miller's mom was like, "I bet you don't remember me, but I was at one of your shows," to Frank Sinatra. And he goes, "Yeah, doll, I remember you. You were 17. You were a knockout." And his mother was like flattered by this.
Because that description would go with no one else who was ever at a Frank show.
Right. It's like Dennis realized what Frank was doing, and it's like, oh shit. Which is funny. Dennis Miller laughed about this. He's like, oh my God. But which was funny. So with this movie, by the way, there is a nod to Frank Sinatra. I think they just showed one of his portraits or something.
Sure, it gets a bomb thrown through it or something.
Yeah. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah, sorry.
And if you notice, after the bomb is thrown through it, there's another portrait of Sinatra behind it, so that it's unbroken portrait. You still see the entire Frank Sinatra.
I think it was a projection.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
you see the entire Frank, though. It's whacked.
If I could buy the movie, I would have a much older picture of Frank, like of him in his old age. Behind it, just that section of the face, make everyone wonder, how does he get that?
Flipping Dean the Bird behind his youth.
Yeah. When did you see this movie, Alan?
In the 70s. These movies made their rounds in syndication for a while. They were part of some package that would play, Saturday evenings, that kind of stuff, where the littlest ones would be in bed, but the older of our kids, like myself, who was in high school, would be up and watching.
It seems like that was a very limited group of films too.
Mm-hmm.
That just played, and it was about 100.
Oh my God, yeah. what later became sort of standard for certain films on cable, where they'd go into super heavy rotation, but because they were priced attractively and for local markets, that a lot of times that was what happened with them.
The two films that played in Louisville like that were The Deadly Bees. We got a lot of The Deadly Bees and War Paint.
Oh my
with
God.
Tyrone.
Yeah.
Saw that thing way too many times. I hated it.
I think up in the Northeast we got those two movies a few times too. Actually, I remember watching War Paint several times.
Yep. War Paint. I mean, this is a movie. This is Ukulele Picks. It's not a good film.
No, but it's a cheap package.
It is.
A cheap package, like the kind that Dan Curtis used to sell back in the 50s. So.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Again, more fight coordination, and I think you have a guy in this movie with like a metal head on his a metal plate on his head. This is before Jaws, isn't it? This is before the debut of Jaws, the character Jaws in Bond, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is over 10 years before that movie.
Yeah, this is 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt Helm beat James Bond to the punch with the whole magnet trick. He doesn't have the line, "How's that grab you?" But
no.
The comedy in this is really good. Again, the plot's really good. I tell you what, I figured, how are they identifying Matt Helm? The fact that they get the back of Dean Martin's head and they make a joke out of it is hilarious.
Get the back of his head.
Well, in the beginning, they do a picture, and then
with the drink.
There's a shout out to a show because Dean Martin goes, "Let's play What's My Line." He goes, and then he turns his back to the guy because they fake Matt Helm's death in this. And they're like, "You're Matt Helm. I thought you were dead." He goes, "I'm starting to think I'm dead." It's like, what?
This is a big little rip. Yeah. So what I was imagining when I was watching this movie, and by the way, Anne Margaret, if any other human moved like that, they would have a migraine for the next 20 years. How on earth, without undercranking, did she move like that?
Yeah.
I have no idea. She was possessed.
She was what they used to call in the business a snake. Exceedingly flexible.
Yeah.
But I think they may have sweetened the speed a little in sections of it. Not the whole thing, but in sections of it for sure. Because she seemed like she was on some kind of Benzedrine trip there at certain points.
Yeah, the choreography in this movie for the dance sequence is really fast.
It's very well, it's supposed to be frenetic, obviously, as he walks through all of this, but and also there's other stuff going on that that sort of belies the freneticism, but it's definitely they're sort of making fun of the discotheques of the time and the youngsters and how they were probably all pretty high when they were dancing anyway. So
the wise father knows his own son with the way they wear their hair these days. It was hip. It was cutting edge. Speaking of which, what would the prisoner have been like if Matt Helm was the one who resigned? Matt Helm.
Fans would have demanded the second season.
He would be immune to all the mind control drugs because
Matt Helm on the island would be a comedy piece and a half in the village.
They would be sending Rover after a little house with a cigarette,
hung to the gills with a cigarette in one hand and a glass of booze in the other.
Well, after one trip of forever, he'd see like a beautiful woman. Hey, can you send her after me?
Yeah, really.
What?
Don't want any more of them big white bubbles anymore.
Yeah. Why did I resign? I have no memory. I don't remember.
I don't care.
I have a reason at the time. Help me out here. Work with me.
I have no memory.
That's right. Hey, can you replace
He's
my
toying
bed
with
with a big round rotating one?
And just imagine Leo McCurn furious, thinking he's toying with them the
Right.
whole time.
That's
He's
right.
brilliant. Brilliant, I say.
That's
And it's
right.
just, no, he's just Matt Helm. He has no memory of any of that. He's
Right.
gone.
His brain can't be washed because it's already been washed by 80 proof.
Yeah.
Matt Helm would tell Leo McCurn, "Hey, why don't you have one of these with me?"
That's right. Exactly. He'd have a rolling bar. It comes out the front door. Anytime
That's
number two shows up.
Yeah. That's what Angela Muscat would have, is a rolling bar for Dean.
Yeah.
We can't wash his brain, but we can at least keep him mollified. Keep feeding him liquor and see what happens.
I can't imagine what a revolutionary Dean would look like. It's the same.
See, that would make,
It would be.
that would make sense.
You just kind of recline into the revolution.
Like if they did a Matt Helm movie today, like they should make fun of everything that they missed out on and not making another Matt Helm movie.
There's a lot to do. I was thinking about this actually the other day about what a literal sequel to what was it? Was The Ambushers? Was that the last one?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, what a literal sequel to The Ambushers would be, where it's the Dean Martin Matt Helm, and he had a son, and he grew up, and it would either be George Clooney or Will Ferrell. I think as Matt Helm Jr.
Yes. The Helm family goes incredibly wrong.
What does that look like? What does a wrong-going Matt Helm family look like? I mean,
Will Ferrell as Matt's son is a teetotaling geek.
That's right.
Who's lousy with women. And can't find a sense of fashion beyond, cable knit sweaters and cargo shorts.
He's a host for NPR.
Yeah. No, you know who they should do this with, and he could even imitate Dean a bit is I think the guy who did Norman Bates in the Psycho remake. I'm thinking of his name. He does comedy too. I'm blanking on him, but yeah, he could do it for sure. But try to look up this name real quick. What's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
Probably the discotheque sequence. It's pretty amusing. And again, weapons that make less and less sense the more I watch it.
The pistol that delays 10 seconds. It's like, what?
Designing these weapons, they shoot backwards. They don't shoot for a half a minute.
Yeah.
What do you do with these things?
I mean, that was the running gag throughout about 40 minutes of the film. 7, 8, 9, bang.
Or you just give me a gun that shoots the bastard, and then I move on.
Yeah.
Do you want the world saved or not?
And the director's going, no, we're setting up the gag. It'll happen in the last reel. And so it did, sort of.
Vince Vaughn is the guy I was thinking of.
Yes. Oh, Vince Vaughn is like what, 6'6" or something? He's a big guy.
He's a tall dude. For sure. I like the fact that we get a hovercraft in this movie. That was really neat.
I knew you would.
You get two of them. You get a little one and a big one.
Yeah. And Dean drunkenly drives them around in Monte Carlo.
That's right.
It's marvelous. It should be Vatican City.
Yes. Well, and this is one of those movies. We're at the tail end of the era where they shoot the film, put it on a screen, and then shoot the scene from inside the vehicle. This is like towards the end of that era of doing that. And so that whole chase is done that way, except for the stunt shots. But anytime you see Matt Helm, he's inside of it, and there's a screen in front of him.
Were the Matt Helm movies a bit ahead of their time, you think?
No,
No, they're just right for their
their
time.
on time.
All of the various social, fashion, language, semiotics are all just right exactly where they should be.
And they were
I'm gonna-
defining time.
I'm gonna go the other way on that. I think they are a bit.
Okay.
Because of what I grew up with. I mean, I had never heard of these movies until Patrick said about it. When I watched them, I'm thinking, we talked about this. I'm thinking, man, without these movies, I don't think we get Austin Powers. I know James Bond was around, and they spoofed that too. But a lot of the context they're taking it from, like the gags, are Matt Helm gags in a lot of ways.
There are some Flint gags in Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I agree with you guys. These movies are right for their time. But I also think they're a bit ahead of their time because they were ahead of the curve in doing a spy spoof that's both funny and entertaining.
Sure. But that era was full of spy spoofs that were funny and entertaining. I mean, that really, because I mean, you think on TV, you had Mission Impossible, you had Man from U.N.C.L.E., you had Honey West,
Girl from Uncle for a year. I mean,
Wild Wild West.
Yeah. They had a ton of stuff, and it all, even the more serious of that fare, had tongue in cheek throughout it. It was not, it was all, it wasn't all darkness or anything else. But then again, neither was James Bond films. There was a lot of tongue in cheek repartee and bon mot.
Books.
Yeah. Bond in the books is a dark figure.
He is. He's very morose,
very hard and dark. I think it was fortunate that they had somebody that could sort of evidence that somewhat, but at the same time, sort of have some wit and light